Why is barefoot training the best?
Have you ever walked on the beach with shoes on?
Yeah.
And did you walk on the beach without shoes on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you feel the difference?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you feel how much more feedback you got when you weren't wearing shoes? Did you feel how much more the brain lights up, you know where you are, you feel what's going on more? That's why it's, on layman's terms, that's why it's important.
I like seeing how many shoes.
But I mean, just the feedback, the brain knows where you are so much more. Muscles, a lot more muscles work more. That's all it is. It's about feedback to the brain. The brain processes where we are all the time. You know, if you're standing on a boat, driving a car, if you're standing still, all these processes are going through the brain. So, you know, if you have a stroke, that's how you slowly relearn how to really get you stronger a lot faster. The brain's working.
Yeah, your body, your muscles, and your extremities send your brain signals. After a stroke, those signals are not going to and from as much anymore. So we've got to stimulate as much as possible that feedback system. You have to tell your brain, hey, I have a right leg, I need to use it more. And standing on your bare feet is a great way to stimulate that at a greater rate. If you stand in shoes.
I fell and hit my head and had brain bleed.
Okay.
So they had to do brain surgery. So now I can't walk. And I've lost my balance.
And the best way to improve upon that is to practice. And that's why we teach you how to do it
Practice
safely.
what?
Balancing. Standing up. If you have, can you stand up?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. Then we start there.
Okay.
Take your shoes off and have you balance in a controlled, safe environment, and give you success doing that. And you're going to build on that success and take what you're learning and start utilizing it on a daily basis.
I can walk in the parallel bars.
Good, excellent. Well then, you need to constantly. How often are you doing that?
Maybe 2 times a week.
Okay. So we need to find ways that you can safely get out of your chair and stimulate your feet and standing more often on your own, because 3 hours a week is great. Great. There's a lot of other hours in the day where when you go back to the seated position, your brain thinks that's normal. So you've got to spend time teaching your brain that this isn't normal, but standing up is. So when you start building the confidence and doing it more and more and getting the strength and the endurance, then it just starts the snowball effect and you get more and more out of it. So the flyers, the handout on the back side, it says Best Day Fitness Stroke Post Physical Therapy Exercise Program. It's just a little summary. I'll just kind of go over what we do and why we do it. And first off, if we haven't met you yet, I'm Chris Palisano. I'm the owner of Best Day Fitness Studio. I went to University of Florida for athletic training and graduated in 2006 and started working with stroke survivors in 2006 and have a lot of, oh, it's okay. We can still be friends. So yeah, I've been doing stroke rehab since 2006, and Pete joined me in about 2008 and started doing stroke rehab with me then. Pete Pete can tell you about his educational background. Pete?
Pete Slaga, I went to Barry University for exercise science as well. Like Chris said, started working with him 08, 09, started volunteering a lot of hours to stroke survivors and traumatic brain injuries, and I really didn't, I learned some brain injury information in school, but we weren't really detailed in it, so I was like, let me just volunteer and learn. And as I got deeper into just training the general population, just pretty much found out that the human body is the same, and we learn at different rates, but the human brain, as far as engaging muscle, is inherently the same. So if you can fix somebody with a stroke or a brain injury, you can pretty much fix anybody. And we're all human, we're all wired the same, we all have the same default settings. So once we get that down, it's pretty much up to the person if they want to do what they need to do to get better.
new relation, I don't know if you know, but you talk about the brain going with her stroke. And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but she's been incontinent almost 10 years now. And is there any progress in any way to that?
Well, a lot of that
I
has...
got a free patch that's, supposed to be done. I have no idea if it's going to do it or not.
Well, a lot of the muscles that control that aren't stimulated when we sit down. When you stand up and start activating those muscles more often, then there should be improvement. But sitting down totally shuts down all those muscles. Whenever we sit down, there's so many muscles in our midsection and our trunk and our backside that literally go to sleep. And then we have a stroke on top of that to really make it go to sleep. Those muscles, especially on one side of the body.
So if you're saying on the flip side, if you'd be walking around your apartment all the time,
yeah, things like that.
It would help to increase incontinence.
Yeah, I can't quote any research studies on that or anything, but yeah, just from what I've seen.
Chair and read for like 84 hours straight.
Well,
except going to the bathroom.
So maybe standing up and reading a little bit, or in a safe position, maybe against a countertop. You can boost up against a
I
countertop.
can't stand for any period of time and start weakening.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of conditioning those muscles to work when you do stand, and then when you're activating them more and more, then you're going to have some improvement. So we'll get back to that. And then Christian is one of the trainers as well. And
I went to University of Central Florida. I graduated last August, so I've been with Chris and Keith now for a little over a year, and learned a lot since the time I've been with them. Started out just training with kind of general population, getting to know their methods of how to deal with injuries in this way that they didn't teach you a lot of times in school, and it was really practical, and I saw how much they've helped all the people that have been through their studio, and I just started I guess working with my first stroke survivor a couple months ago. I also work with somebody that has Parkinson's, 85, and see him a few times a week as well. So I've had a great experience working with them, and I've seen them have a lot of success, not just with them, but with the things that they have taught me. I've been able to apply to the people I've been able to see, and it's been great.
And then Abby couldn't make it. She had car issues, but she coordinated everything today for us to be here. She has her master's degree in exercise science and is a yoga instructor as well as a personal trainer. And she's awesome. And so we could definitely design yoga-inspired stroke rehab programs as well with Abby overseeing that. Best Day Fitness Studio, the facility I opened up 3 years ago. It's if you look in the flyer, there's some pictures of the studio, but it's there's not any equipment or machines. We basically just have space. A few treatment tables, but we like to get people using their own bodies as the machines. We want to get you out of the chairs, standing up, walking, balancing, functional movements, lifting, twisting, turning, things that are going to carry over into your everyday activities, make life a little easier for you. So if you spend a lot of time on a machine, doing exercises on a machine, your brain doesn't necessarily carry that over into everyday activities. So we really don't utilize machines. We just use the human body as the most advanced machine ever invented. We want to tap into that and teach you how to move safer and better and more often. And so we've kind of coined a term, the best method, off of our name, Best Day Fitness Studio. Best standing for better educated strength training. We like to educate all of our clients that come in on what they can do when they leave, how their body's moving, how to fix things that aren't working. And we want to give you an education so that better you understand what's going on, the more it's going to carry over into your everyday activities. You can start practicing what you're learning. So it's not just, hey, let's go work out for an hour and try to walk. Let's also try all these movements and exercises at home so that you're practicing what you're learning on a daily basis. That's why we did homework in school, so you could reinforce what you're learning in school. So we're huge on education and homework. And strength training, better educated strength training, everything's founded on finding the weak muscles and teaching them how to get stronger. We work on flexibility while we're strengthening, but for the most part, we really want to just find what's not working, teach your brain to work those muscles more, and then you'll see a lot of success when you work on the weaker muscles. Going down the list, posture, anatomical position. Posture and anatomical position are one and the same. If you ever look at the guy standing, the muscle chart, the guy standing upright, that's anatomical position. When you look at the side, everything's lined up perfectly. That's proper posture. Sitting down, unfortunately, is one of the worst things we can do for our posture. On top of that, you have a stroke, it makes you sit more, so your posture becomes even more effective. So by teaching all the right muscles to improve your posture, it's going to help with your overall success, because that's our natural position. That's where our brain is comfortable and when we're standing and being upright. So by teaching you proper posture, you're going to engage a lot more muscles and you're going to get a lot more function. So that's a fundamental of the best method. Natural movement, like I said earlier, twisting, turning, bending, lifting things up, walking with we were talking about bare feet earlier, moving without shoes on, taking your shoes off and standing without shoes on. It's a great way to teach your body how to move properly again. Strength and flexibility at the same time, strengthability. We like to do movements that stretch certain muscles while strengthening other muscles at the same time. Instead of spending just time stretching, we like to do it all at once. So all the functional movements that we have you do will strengthen certain muscles and make other muscles more flexible at the same time. So 2 birds with 1 stone. And then it's all based on neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to rewire itself after a severe traumatic injury to the brain. So after a stroke, you have damage to the brain, but the rest of the brain is still functioning properly. And a lot of times the rest of the brain will relearn how to move again. And it's really amazing. And just in the last 20 years, they've done so much research that shows how much the brain improves after a stroke. But you have to teach the brain, you have to stimulate the brain with the proper movement patterns. Teach the brain, teach your body how to move more, and your brain will rewire itself again to move a lot better. So that's kind of just some fundamentals of the best method.
I'm kind of just going into that, like having a brain tell the body what you need to do.
Oh. Sweet towels.
We can't take you anywhere.
Well, we can, but.
Well, I'm just cleaning up here on this sheet. I assume you guys will handed this out. What does soft knees mean?
Oh, we're going to get into that. That's
okay.
That's what the educational stuff we're going to teach y'all today. Stuff you can practice at home.
Okay. Active sitting.
So gravity.
Active sitting.
So yeah, that's what I was going into. The brain.
We'll take your time. Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
You see like a puppeteer? A puppeteer has all the strings and he controls everything. You can move one arm, you can move the leg, all one time. Your brain is just like the puppeteer. The brain controls every movement your body does, as far as skeletal movement goes. There's three different types of muscle in the body. Cardiac muscle makes the heart move. You don't think about it, it automatically does it. Smooth muscle in our intestines, you don't think about that, it automatically goes. Okay? And we have skeletal muscle. That moves our body. We do control that.
She's going to get a towel.
There's no problem.
So as we're sitting, you're thinking about other stuff. You're talking, you're eating dinner, you might be reading. So the brain has so many other things going on. So the last thing it's going to want to do when you're sitting is engage muscle. So ultimate last thing.
Yes,
so
I know
as
that's
you keep sitting, the brain gets lazier and lazier and lazier
I know.
as far as engaging muscle. So one thing we can do right here, we're all sitting, we can try squeezing our butt together. Now the glutes. Now the 2 biggest muscles in our body are, anybody want to guess?
The butt.
On the chest, okay?
Butt, that's right on the
We're
sheet.
out of it.
close. So gluteus maximus. It's a gluteus maximus. The lats are pretty big too. When the Greeks were dissecting the human body and naming all these muscles, they decided to name the two butt muscles the gluteus maximus. They're the only two muscles that have maximus on the back. There's a reason for that. They're the biggest muscles in the body. Now, the biggest muscles in the body should be the strongest muscles in the body. Now, going back to the proper anatomical position, we're designed to stand. When I sit, I lift my leg, and I have a nice 90-degree flex right here in my hip joint. So what do you think happens to the muscle fibers when I bend my leg to sit? They stretch out. What happens if I keep stretching a rubber band out all day? Stretch. Eventually the rubber band's not going to be tight and strong anymore. It's eventually like, all right, I'm done working, I'm going to snap. The butt muscles are not going to snap off you, but as you keep stretching out the muscle, it keeps getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And then not only that, but the brain loses its connectivity to it. So, you know, if the biggest muscles in the body are not doing their job, I mean, when you try to stand up, nothing's going to be working, you know? So right off the bat, the two biggest muscles in the body, every time you sit, stretch. And if you're not squeezing your butt cheeks, the brain has no connectivity to it. So is everybody still squeezing their butt?
Yeah.
No? Okay. So in the matter of 1 minute, in the matter of 1 minute, you know, the brain has said, all right, I'm not going to squeeze my butt anymore. So, you know, it's the path of least resistance. The human body is inherently very lazy. It doesn't want to do anything. If we sit down all day, we're going to sit down all day. So, you know, that's why we teach you what you need to do. You need to constantly saturate the muscles and engage with them, especially after a stroke. Because if you don't, the muscles are just going to sit there. You're just going to keep getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's pretty much it. It's as easy as that. There's no, like, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It's just the way it is. And the human body is structured the same way. It's a survival mechanism. If we don't move, we're going to save energy, and that's the whole point. We want to save energy as long as we can. That's why it's so easy for us to gain weight as compared to lose it, because we don't want to lose it. It's not, you know, we need to make ourselves lose it. Same thing, we need to make ourselves engage muscle, and that's the whole point. And that's what it is. The brain to muscle connection. That's what we teach. Is everybody still squeezing their butt?
Yep.
No, I just, I'm taking note that I have to marry my brain with my butt.
Yep.
Yeah. And it goes back to the puppeteer. Your brain can engage every single skeletal muscle in your body. Now, if you can't squeeze every muscle in your body with your brain, then there's some weaknesses. So you know how this one's probably the easiest one to kind of make your biceps flex? You can do it pretty quick, fairly easy. You want to try to get this same connection to every other muscle in your body. And if you can't, there's some just, you know, the wiring to the brain to the muscle is not as strong as it should be.
But isn't there something about whatever you do, you want to stop doing it pretty quick? I mean, I'll do this, but I don't want to stay that way.
Well, exactly. The muscle's going to be like, hey,
I
I'm
can
getting
squeeze my
tired.
butt a couple times here, but I don't think about it, it goes back. You know.
And that's
So-
it, yeah.
But that's what he's saying, he's saying
Yeah, exactly.
exercise your brain by keep focusing
Yeah,
on it.
exactly. That's the thing. If you don't think about it, you're not going to do it. So that's pretty much what it's all about. You know, if you sit here and
She
squeeze this
does it,
muscle,
and I don't even know why she was doing it, but she's doing it for incontinence.
yeah, and that's the same thing. There's just muscles deeper in the abdominal cavity that aren't doing their job, and that's it. You just got to tell them to do it again.
And the interesting thing, going back to the incontinence thing, is when the gluteus maximus is not engaged, your entire pelvis has no support. So because of all the muscles that attach to the pelvis, including your pelvic floor muscles, which control the bladder, if the pelvis is never stable because the butt's not working, all the muscles that attach to the pelvis don't have an anchor hold. So they're basically gripping onto something that has no stability. So by squeezing the butt more often, you're telling the brain to stabilize your pelvis, and therefore other muscles that attach to the pelvis will reflexively start engaging more. A lot of stuff, the butt contraction is basically kind of kickstarts a lot of other muscles to work. But if you don't use the butt, then those other muscles aren't working. So they're just getting weaker and weaker.
That's the key.
Yeah. So it's one of the most. If we could just teach you one thing today, squeeze your butt. Like it's it corrects back issues, it corrects knee issues, it helps you walk, it helps you balance, it helps you probably helps with incontinence.
Well, how many times a day?
As much as you can. How many times a day have you been sitting for the last your lifetime? How many hours have you sat over your lifetime?
Yeah.
So humans in modern society can be very productive in a seated position. We don't need to stand up anymore and to provide for a family. We can go to work and work at a bank and sit all day and make money and make a living. So we've got to find ways that we can stimulate your brain to butt connection more often.
Well, how about your balance? You know, I always lean backwards when I walk.
Yeah, that's just, everything works together. It starts at the toes, and then you need the feedback. You need the feedback to the muscles. They work all the way up to the butt, and then everything works as one. And that's the thing, we have so many different realms that help us with balance. We're seeing stuff, okay, your equilibrium, your head's kind of moving, you have the muscles adjusting your ankle joints. So you have so many layers of balance. It's hard to say, oh, my balance is bad, but there's like 10 things that make up your balance. So it's kind of an accumulative aspect.
Standing up straight and, keeping my body straight to walk.
You need to come up with a T-shirt. Janine thought, work your buns.
Squeeze your booty.
You squeeze your booty. That's right.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a T-shirt. It's a pirate and it says, "Arr, you squeezing your booty."
I wonder, does tiredness tend to make you lose your balance? The reason I say that is I'm 78 and a half, and I make it my religion to bike ride every day. I try to take a 45 minutes. Lately they've been cut down a little bit, but sometimes I even go an hour. But towards the end, when I come back in my driveway, and years ago I used to go right into where I park my bike, and then I hit my hand a few times on the door jam. I don't do that anymore. But I noticed that I don't seem to have the balance as I did when I went out.
Yeah,
Because I'm tiring a little bit. Is that normal?
Yes.
That you lose your balance as you tire?
Muscles produce force. Like if I want to stand here, my calves have to engage to keep my ankle stable. As my calf gets tired, especially after a bike ride, it can't produce as much force. So when my brain says, hey, use the calf, but the calf is tired, it might not react as quickly.
Are you using your calf or your thigh?
Well, you're using all of them when you're standing. And biking, you're probably using more calf and quadricep.
And I also have balance problems when I first get up in the morning. Like if I have to urinate at 4:30 a.m. in the dark, I thought I'm getting to where I start to bounce off furniture, get to the bathroom. How do I find that? That's I gotta get do this, and I got screws in my back, and I do have to bounce off it.
Put a flashlight beside the.
That's an idea. You're so smart, Sally.
But if you look at the short-term thing of you sleeping and getting up at night, think about what you were doing for 5 hours. You were sleeping, there was no muscles working. Okay? Then you get up, then nothing's working because you just told them to go to sleep. So if you look at the saturation of what you're telling the muscles to do, then you want to work them real quick. Okay, so you just slept for 4 hours and you get up, the muscles have done nothing for 4 hours. And then you get up, they don't know what to do. So think about if you sit all day. When you get up, the muscles have no idea what to do because you told them to sit and stretch out all day. So if you look at it as a timeline, what you tell your muscles to do as far as time goes, the muscles are going to be great at doing what you tell them to do all the time. If you tell them to stretch out and never squeeze, it's going to be great at stretching out and not squeezing. But if you tell them to squeeze,
So the moral of the story is a constant reminder.
pretty much, absolutely.
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 You sit at the edge of your bed and squeeze your butt and you think about what the boys said. They said to train my muscles before I stand up.
The other thing is that
My work.
Yep. Yeah, so look at it. Everyone's sitting here. So if I get in the seated position that you guys are in right now, this is what I'm going to look like. Okay. So that's I'm sitting right now. Okay. So if I do this for 8 hours a day and I try to stand up like these two guys, I'm going to be like this. I'm not going to be able to pull up, and then I'm going to fall over. So that's what it is. If you stay like this all day, you're going to stay like this all day.
So moral of the story, there's a lot of things that sitting does to you that makes standing up and balancing really hard.
Yep. Exactly.
So the best way to correct that is, if you just stood for, if let's say you can stand for 10 minutes before you get tired and lose your balance. Stand for 10 minutes today. Tomorrow, do it for 10 minutes and 30 seconds. The next day, do it for 11 minutes. The next day, do it for 12 minutes. Just start every day. You have to make a journal Like what you did yesterday, I need to improve upon that today. And then,
How would I get up though?
That's the thing. That's kind of what we teach you. You know, it's tough to say, oh, just get up. You know, you need help. That's why we start very slow. We start safe. We help you out. But it's more about us teaching you how to do it so you can do it safely at home. So you can work on it at home.
but some of the things, and you asked, somebody asked about active sitting, and we'll get into that. But you know, you find ways that you can activate those muscles when you are in a seated position, so that when you do go to stand, you're going to be that far ahead. So those muscles are going to be a little more stimulated too.
Well, I kick my leg through that.
Good. Yeah, that's one of the things that you can do. Squeezing the butt is probably the best thing. Just,
And do like a marching.
yeah, definitely. Try it while you're squeezing your butt.
So where are all the details? Where is it located? How long to go there before we get driveway?
They're right in the front of the flyer, right here in the bottom. That's our address, website.
The website there?
It says bestdayfitness.com in the blue. Or you can just, if all else fails, you can just Google us.
So, yeah, usually we do a complimentary evaluation. You can always come in and just learn some things, and one-on-one. We love to help people. You know, even if we never see you again, we can teach you some things, and then you can go tell your friends about us. So we always offer a complimentary 1-hour evaluation. Sometimes it's a little longer. The online resources below, we have bestdayfitness.com as our website. We have videos on our website that you can access. So if you learned something and you forgot what it was, you can find the video on our website. And one of the interesting things that we do that a lot of people really seem to like is we can do personalized videos of your sessions. So we're telling you lots of things today, and if you were to come to see us and we told you a lot of other things, how are you going to remember that? We can video your entire session, and then within a day, I will upload all the videos and send them right to you. So you can bring them up on your phone. If you have a smartphone, you can bring them up on your laptop or your computer, and you can see yourself working out with us and hear our voices and see, you know, that way you can practice everything at home. And that's part of everything. It's not an extra cost or anything. It's just something that we can utilize for your program. So a lot of our stroke and traumatic brain injury survivors have really found that was a great help for their homework. There's one thing for us to tell you a bunch of stuff, and you get home and you're like, what was I supposed to do? Squeeze my stomach? No. But
There's a lot that we do tell you, and that's the thing. It's educational, you know? You can go out and get a workout anywhere. We really teach you what you need to do to get where you need to get. So it is loaded with information. So we do try to help you as far as.
Does insurance pay for it?
it's all out of pocket. We don't take insurance. As an athletic trainer, if I worked under an orthopedic surgeon, I could take insurance, but I don't part of it. But we tend to fill that hour, and it's one-on-one. It's not, if you go, sometimes if you go to like a traditional insurance reimbursement program, you might not have the attention of the person for the whole hour that's treating you. So you get our one-on-one attention, and oftentimes what you're learning in that 1 hour, you're going to go utilize for the rest of the week. So we have some people come in once a month just to get an updated program. Some people come in 3 times a week. It's all up to scheduling and financial. So we have options, and we have prices for everybody. We have an internship program with the University of Florida, the University of South Florida, the University of Alabama, where every semester we'll have an intern come in from one of those schools, and they are in their last semester of exercise science. They work hands-on with us, and we can do internship training specials where it's like $15 for the hour. And one of us will oversee the program, and the intern will implement all the exercises and make sure everything's safe and focus on your form. So we have lots of price options as well. So we try not to lose anybody because of cost. We want to make it work. We want to help you out. Even if we can just teach you some things, and you can come back every once in a while and get a new program.
Can they a little bit of business for your friend who's a Abby? For like somebody like this pretty like little lady who doesn't move a lot. What about the yoga program? And because I know oxygen is good for the muscles.
Definitely.
Stretching for somebody that doesn't have
every patient's different. We would just personalize the program to their needs. If they, if they want to work on upper body mobility, we can work on that. If they want to work on breathing and chair poses for yoga, we can do that. We have our basic foundation of how we look at things, but every person is completely different. So it's going to be a completely different program for her than for anybody else.
Because I think yoga, honestly, I've really never done yoga myself, but I know it has a lot of breathing.
Oh, definitely,
Even
yeah.
for somebody in a wheelchair that has some lack of ability, just the act of learning how to breathe the proper way might be able to get
Yeah.
the next bone muscle in a way.
Yeah, and a lot of our movements and exercises are based on yoga movements because it was. There's amazing positions in yoga that will teach you how to use a lot of different muscles, and then Abby's really good at teaching you all the breathing techniques. If that's what you want to work on, and that would be, patient by patient. So what we can do now also is go over on the back of the page is the homework that we can go over for you to start practicing the daily reminders for better posture and brain to muscle awareness. Going back to the brain controls the muscles, we've got to find ways to stimulate the brain to activate the muscles as much as possible. And a lot of that goes back to reminding your postural exercise, or reminding your muscles that control posture to control the posture more often. So one of the first things, eyes on the horizon, chin up. How oftentimes are we looking down, typing, reading, and our head just starts to get heavy?
I'm looking for money.
Yeah, that too. Well, if you think about it, the head is about the size of the weight of a bowling ball. So once your head starts to fall down, it's like, you ever had a bowling ball in your hand? Once you lean it forward, it's going to fall over. So keeping your chin up and your eyes up on the horizon is one of the easiest things you can do to correct posture. It's going to keep you in that natural anatomic position versus this.
Yeah, that's what I do, I look down.
As is person, I feel like I have to look down to see where I'm going.
For balance.
The time that I don't
Or for when you're
do that
walking.
is when I'm on the treadmill.
I mean, I think a lot of people, like, she still remembers the early stroke days. You don't want to fall.
Yeah, definitely.
When she falls, she has a hard time getting up.
Yeah, and that's...
She needs my help, and I can help her do it. So I think, look, we're walking down the halls of rehab here, polished floors, there's nothing on them, you're not going to trip over an aisle. It's not, you're not on cobblestones or something in some foreign country, So I think keep your eyes up, because she wants to put her head down and eyes down,
The fear of falling is probably one of the most pervasive things we have to work against, because it's terrifying. Like, what's going to happen when you fall? Like, what injury am I going to get?
And for me, I always thought falling was good, because I played a little bit of football in grade school,
Right.
and I fell on the tennis court, and I thought,
Well,
you
and
get up
can-
and,
Yeah,
try it
and-
out.
and
And
can you get-
I've been lucky, I haven't broken anything falling.
I fall, stepping up on the sidewalk on the street and tripped and broke my kneecap.
Yeah.
I went back on it.
And
That's why we work out barefoot, because you want to get the feedback of what your feet are doing every time you step. So that's the thing. You have 5 toes on each foot for a reason, right? You have 5 fingers on these hands. So imagine wearing mittens all day, okay? And just doing your daily life with mittens on. Imagine how less and less and less and less you would get feedback with your hands. You would slowly lose the feeling of and the dexterity of using all 10 of your fingers. That's what it's like wearing shoes. You slowly, slowly, slowly lose the feedback of what your feet are doing when you're moving. So we slowly work that back in of, okay, all my weight's on my heels, I'm wobbly. Now all my weight's on my toes, I have all 10 of my toes on the ground. I feel the muscles in my feet, I feel the calves, my butt squeezing. So now you use all 10 of your toes, you have 10 points of contact walking as opposed to 2 heels. So we work literally from the ground up. So now you know exactly how your foot feels when you're landing on whatever you may be landing. Cobblestone, sand, grass, cement, whatever. That's what it is. It's the brain getting more familiar with what your body's doing.
So if somebody had numbness on one side, if they took their shoes off, they actually might have some sensation and better balance.
A lot more
Yeah,
than.
yeah, definitely. Yep. You weren't born with shoes on. Was anybody here born with shoes on? I'm asking everybody that I meet that question.
I didn't hear the question again.
Was anybody born with shoes on?
Oh.
I don't know.
I just think she's so scared of going barefoot in
I
our
know.
apartment.
I hear
She
you.
always has to have her slippers or something on.
I mean, we need to wear protective like soles on our feet to step on rocks, glass, whatever it may be. But you can go thinner shoes to have better feedback too. You know, when you wear these big shoes, it's like walking on pillars. You know, you're like all over the place.
Maybe we should get the hospital socks with the fence on them.
Those are great.
We have some of those.
Yeah, so it starts on that, and it's like a car. You have 4 tires in your car, right? If you start driving cross country, you want those tires to be in the best shape to drive across the country. You only have 2 feet. You need to have your feet and the feedback to the feet as strong as you possibly can. What are the 2 things that keep you on the planet? It should be some of the most important muscles in your body. You know? And then going back to the postural thing, the head here, and then pulling the head up, eyes on the horizon. When you pull everything up, we open up the nerve pathways to the body. So now when your posture is better, you have better nerve conduction everywhere in your body. So you want to keep the spine in a natural position.
When you compress on the nerves, you're getting less
So
connections between the brain and the muscle.
I just noticed, and I didn't have a stroke, but I have screws in my back since '96, and I have a lot of back pain. That's why I have a belt on. I take a lot of Vicodin, blah blah blah. Anyway, but by squeezing my butt, I noticed that it's relieving some of the back pain.
You got it.
Does that make sense?
they're the 2 biggest muscles in your body. They're there for a reason.
Evidently, there's something wrong with one of the muscles on my left side here,
Gotta get it stronger.
and I don't know what to blame it on, but.
All the little muscles that stabilize all your vertebrae, there's a lot of them, but they're really small. They're not that big. The butt muscle, it's really big. It's really powerful. You ever see an Olympic sprinter, how big their butts are? Massive. Those muscles can get really strong and really powerful. And one of their other main roles is to support not only your pelvis, but also your spine. The spine sits on top of the pelvis, kind of like a lock and key. It sits in the pelvis. If the pelvis is going like this, then the spine is just like, what? So by clenching your butt tight, if everybody, you can try this right now. If everybody squeezes your butt really tight, what you'll notice is your head will lift up. Because your spine, your neck, and your head are supported by your spine. So when your butt's squeezed, your spine sits up tall, your head comes up. So it's a great way to practice some of these postural cues. Keeping your head up, it's easier, squeeze your butt. So yeah, you should have relief from your back pain if you do that all day long. I mean, you might fix yourself too. Probably will if you're conscious about it.
Yeah, the skeleton is just like a structure, just like building a house. You know, you have the skeleton, and then you have muscles. The muscles hold the skeleton where it needs to be. So if the muscles are not doing what they need to be, doing what they need to do, the skeleton's going to be kind of just, gravity's going to kind of pull everything down. Just like an old house that was built like 100, 200 years ago. It's the same thing. It's a structure, but it's a moving structure. And we do so many other things with it. So that's why muscles being strong are that much more important.
So going back to the postural cues, first one, eyes up, chin up. Go back to the fall thing too. And I know falling will cause you to look down. That's very common. Start practicing scanning where you're going with your head up and your eyes down. Just, a lot of times if you keep your head up, you can still see everything pretty much about a foot ahead of you. So if you start looking for obstacles before you get to them, okay, I've got a clear path here. I'm gonna look around, check it out, look around, check it out, chin up, chest up, and then take a few steps. Just practicing the postural cues, but still be safe. Start looking for obstacles further out instead of right in front of you. So the next postural cue, chest up. That's going to help with your middle back and your lower back posture as well. Your rib cage if we come like this, our rib cage kind of compresses, we can't breathe as much. But if you lean back into that proper anatomical position, you're actually expanding your rib cage. And going back to the breathing question with yoga, if you're compressing your rib cage, you're never going to get a full lung capacity of air. So by opening up your rib cage, by working on your posture, you're going to allow for better breathing as well. So that's a really important one, is keeping your chest up. And if you look at the anatomical position from the side, the breastplate actually faces in an upward direction. It doesn't face forward. It kind of angles up. So by pushing your rib cage forward, you're allowing, again, lung capacity to improve, and you're also keeping your arching back, which is another natural position of our human anatomy. So that's a really important one, chest up. The next one kind of feeds into chest up, shoulder blades pinch down and back. If your chest is down and you try to pinch your shoulder blades back, you're going to get this kind of shrugging up movement. But if you push your rib cage forward and you pinch your shoulder blades back, your shoulder blades will kind of fall down as well. You want to pinch your shoulder blades together and down. So we want to go down with your shoulder blades. That's going to get your arms and your neck in the proper anatomical position as well. So chest up and shoulder blades down and back. Great postural cues that you can start practicing on. Try to squeeze your shoulder blades together for the rest of the day today. You're going to notice you're sore tomorrow in those muscles. So there's so many things that seem like they're not that hard at first, but if you keep doing them, you'll start to realize, wow, I'm sore back there. Why am I sore from squeezing my shoulder blades together? And that'll make you realize those muscles need to work more. So
now I understand why my grandmother had to walk around with a book on her head as a child.
yeah, we should start doing that again in school.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense now.
And gravity has a lot to do with it too. Gravity has a lot to do with it too. You know, if you don't have that mental feedback, all these muscles back here, you know, you've seen like a lot of older individuals how they're just kind of just rounded like that. You know, because these muscles, the brain has no feedback to those muscles. Gravity keeps pulling you, and then before you know it, the brain doesn't know how to engage them, and then you can't pull yourself back. And over time, you're just stuck in that position. I've seen that a lot too. So, you know, all those problems that a lot of older individuals get, you could avoid too just by doing all this. Yeah.
Look what the next one is. Squeeze your butt. Are we squeezing still? Who's squeezing? These are not in any order. They're all important, but like I said earlier, squeeze the butt should probably be the most important one because it's the strongest muscle in the body. You want to make sure it's working. Soft knees. When you do stand, unlock your knees a little bit. A lot of times people lock back.
Unlock.
Yeah, unlock them. You get it. Yeah. It's a balance technique, a compensatory technique to help you balance if those muscles aren't working. So we need to work those muscles more. So when you're in a safe position to be able to spot yourself or have somebody spotting you, you need to unlock your knees, because now you're going to have the hamstring muscles and the quadricep muscles, two of the top 4 strongest muscles in the body, doing their job to keep your knee and hips stable. So soft knees are important. Some other cues, stand more throughout the day if possible. Like we said earlier, try to get in the anatomical position as much as you can. That's bringing all your muscles into proper balance. Here's a good one. Separate the movement of your toes. Wiggle your toes around in your shoes. If you have shoes on, wiggle them around. Try to stimulate them to move. When you do take your shoes off, try to splay them out and grip things. And if you have a towel on the ground, you can grip the towel with your toes. Just kind of, it's great to use those muscles. Our toe muscles are some of the strongest muscles in the body, not pound for pound, but from their amount of force they can produce, they have to help stabilize your ankle and your arch and all the way up your lower leg. So by constantly stimulating those toe muscles, you're waking up those connections between the brain and those muscles, which will help with balance, which will help with walking and standing and bless you. So that's a really important one. Get more aware of the muscles in your body. Just start doing different things each day. Pick something up from a different angle if you can. Put something in your arm. If with your stroke, if the right arm is affected, put a bag of groceries in the, a lot of times you're locked into a little bit of tone, so maybe put some groceries in there. Use your limb as much as you can. Then active sitting. All right, here's a pop quiz. What's the best thing you can do to make sitting active? Yay! Squeeze your butt. And you said you would do leg lifts as well. That's really super important. When you do sit, lift your legs up, extend them out. Try to hold them as long as you can. Lift your heels and toes.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Excellent, excellent.
It circulates the blood in
Good,
your leg.
yeah, definitely.
From a previous, we come here all the time for years now, but we had a sheet of, I'll just call them exercise. I don't know, Tai Chi shows and all this stuff that all kind of run together, but they had, you know, muscles where you do this and this and arms. But when she does that, we got them on a cabinet where she can just read them. Would it be wise to tighten the butt muscles while you're doing
Yes.
that?
Yes. Because again, if the butt's not stabilizing the pelvis, then the spine's not stable, and the shoulder blade's attached to the spine. So if the arms are moving around and they don't have a nice anchor hold to the spine because the butt's not working, it's all connected. You can't separate muscles and bones in your body.
The main thing today is to tighten butt muscles.
Yes.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes back to the two biggest muscles in the body. If you're building a home, you know, you have like support beams that hold, you know, you have the support beam and then you build everything off the support beam. It's the same thing. It goes back to physics. It's physics. It's math. It's science. They're the two biggest muscles in the body. They are the main supporters. They should be the strongest. Then you build everything off of it. It's pretty much how it goes.
So from a brain standpoint, this is a really interesting study I read years ago called the flexion relaxation phenomenon. They did a study to measure the electrical signals that go from the brain to the muscle. They have these little devices that measure. Well, basically, your brain connects your muscles with electric signals, basically like turning a light switch on. What they did was they measured the electrical signal going to the butt when we sit down, and guess what it did? The electrical signal dropped down to almost zero. So whenever we go into that position, your brain literally goes up to the light switch, turns it off the entire time you're sitting. So turn it back on. Keep it on. Duct tape it in the on position, whatever you got to do. And that's not going to happen by squeezing it 3 times in a day. It's going to happen by squeezing it for 3 hours in a day. That's very challenging to do the first day you do it. But each day, as you do it more and more, it's going to be easier and easier. Just like any activity, swimming, walking, you know, the more you do it, the easier it is. So do it as much as you can.
It's just like the motor pattern or playing guitar or playing the piano. You know, you're not going to get great playing the piano once a month. You're going to get better once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, every day. It's the same thing. You're just telling the muscles in your hands to do something you want them to do. It's the same exact thing, telling all these muscles doing what they want to do. It's the same thing.
And
There's nothing different.
And with stroke rehab, it's just, unfortunately, it takes a lot more contractions, a lot more stimulation. So, the interesting thing I noticed, though, is when you squeeze your butt muscles with a stroke, is it kind of, other things seem to wake up. If I have somebody with a stroke that I'm trying to have them stand, and I have them start squeezing their butt and practicing on that more and more, you can start to see other muscles starting to kind of wake up a little sooner when the butt muscles are squeezing. It's really interesting because, you know, it's the center of your body. So your center of gravity is right here. And the butt muscle like controls the upper and the lower body. So if you can squeeze your butt more, you're going to start making other muscles wake up. So it's pretty fascinating. Any questions? I've gone over everything on a sheet, so you can practice your homework. That's on the back. Take the sheets home. All our contact information, everything's on the flyer. I hate to rush, but I think I gotta be back by 5.
Yeah, on the flyer, there's some cars over there. I got some cars laying over there. We offer a free 1-hour session to everyone that comes in. Caretakers, stroke survivors, anyone. It doesn't matter.
This is down Central Avenue.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So.
you have videos as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, you have a free hour. We can go in more depth with what your issues are, what we can do for you. I mean, there's really, you know, nothing to lose on this except getting better, getting stronger. So take advantage of that. I tell that to everybody that we go speak to. So
Yeah,
nothing
maybe
to lose.
one location.
Yes. Yep.
Unless
Yep.
everybody in here comes and sees us 3 days a week, then we can stand up here.
But you might as well take advantage of it. Guarantee you'll learn a lot. So you take video, then you take it home. You can do that forever. So that's pretty much it. It's on you. You know.
So what's the most important thing you learned today?
Your butt. Use your butt.
What's the biggest muscle in the body?
That's why they call it Maximus.
Gluteus maximus. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, it really helps a lot of things, you know. You have knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain.
Unless you're a runway model.
Brought the t-shirts in so long.
I need to make some.
I want one.
Come on in. Come on in. Yeah, I mean, anybody is welcome. Seriously, if you want to just get stronger, you want to lose some weight, whatever it may be, we work with everybody. The human body is the same, so we could see anybody. Age groups, male, female, doesn't matter. So.
You can say answer some questions, but I've got to be going.
But I could stay for a few more minutes, whatever you guys need.
It was nice meeting everybody.
Nice
Thank you.
Yeah, and anytime you have any questions, call us, email us, whatever. All our contact information's on the flyer, and Pete will answer any other questions you have.
When does Christian start school?
Not until the following. I'll be there for at least the next year.
Okay.
Yes.